Hello, I'm Scott Thompson, and welcome to After 10. The sound of classical music echoed through the joint security area of the DMZ yesterday, bringing beauty to an area that is so often associated with separation and pain. On today's After 10, we are joined by one of the people responsible for planning this historic concert to find out what it aimed to do. Mr. Won Hyung-jun, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me here.
Now, this concert was the very first concert of its kind to be held near the military demarcation line between North and South Korea. Let's start from the beginning. How did the idea for this concert come about?
Well, it's idea from both, from Lindenbaum and NNSC. For example, Lindenbaum, we've been preparing for one orchestra from made of North and South young musicians together since 2009, and we had an orchestra festival for twice. And at the time, the embassy of Switzerland, they were sponsoring us, so we had a long relationship with them. And it was time that I was able to contact through the embassy of Switzerland to NNSC that. Later, we just came up together that they knew about our philosophy that we want to perform together. So they invited us, so I said, of course, why not? We'll do it. Yeah.
What do you think a performance like this, so close to the DMZ, signifies? What is the significance of a concert like this?
Well, I think it means a lot. First of all, as you know, for South Korean, it is very difficult for South Korean civilian to enter that area without getting permission from United Nations Command, who controls the Panmunjom. And I was very lucky to be invited because of NNSC, which neutral nations supervisory commission. And they offered me this special performance, and I accepted. And we were able to go there and perform. But on the other hand, for South Korean, that area is the closest, the area to the north that we can stand for. So it was very meaningful to be there.
Just hearing you speak about that, you're speaking of the obstacles facing yourself and the people who are planning this particular concert. I imagine there were a lot of obstacles in turning this idea into a reality. What was it like getting approval, just approval for this concert to take place?
Although it was not performance together with North and South, we as South Korean musicians, we only did. But to be able to go there, I think both countries from North and South, I think they should be acknowledged as who we are. But as I told you before, Lindenbaum, we've been preparing this one orchestra since 2009, and pretty much both governments, they know and sympathize for our project. And that was the most reason that we were able to solve those tremendous obstacles. For example, contacting the North and getting permissions from both countries and NNSC and UN. Yeah, there are many organizations, parties that we should go over, but we were very lucky to be there. Yeah.
And I imagine this being in commemoration of the 60th anniversary of the NNSC, I imagine they've been very supportive throughout this process. Tell us a little bit about how they've supported this project.
The Embassy of Switzerland, they were very supportive to Lindenbaum project since 2009. And we also have strong support from the Swiss government. And that has been connected to the NNSC because one of the NNSC countries is Switzerland. And Swiss NNSC was very likely to invite us because they liked, since the beginning, they liked our project because it's non-political and it's good. I mean, because it's young people together, meeting through music. So maybe, Switzerland, they stand for peace, and they have been in Panmunjom for 60 years. Those reasons, I think, all came together. So I'm very lucky. Lindenbaum, very lucky to have the Embassy of Switzerland and NNSC. I really appreciate those efforts to them, yeah.
And how about the South Korean government? What was their response to this idea for the concert? How have they responded in kind in that time?
Well, for the basic reference, for those who may not recognize this truth, that for South Korean, we are not allowed to talk to North, and there is a regulation, law, that prohibits. But Lindenbaum, philosophy was attracted to even South Korean government, especially unification of ministry. And also they have been giving me special permission to contact the North since 2010. And before the event, I told them that we are having this historical concert in Panmunjom. And their first reaction was very surprised because they knew, our government, they knew it is very difficult to have the concert in Panmunjom. And so they gave me such a congratulatory messages, and I also got another congratulatory message from the North Korean government before the event. So technically, for this concert was, yes, we got both good, positive answers from two governments.
You mentioned this has been about a 4-year process, I guess, from it being imagined at the very beginning from 2009. What sorts of reactions has the South Korean government given to you and to Lindenbaum Music during that time period?
Well, the time I started in 2010 was maybe the most difficult time for me to start this project, because it's definitely associated with the North Korean government. At that time we had a very bad news, for example, Cheonan ship and Yeonpyeong Island. And so at that time, even everyone, I think, from South Korea had a negative reaction to the North, but Lindenbaum was promoting this North and South, the Young Musicians Together project. But I really tried to convince my government, since this is non-political and this is very needed project, even though politically it's not stable. But luckily, at the time, the Ministry of Unification, they give me permission to contact the North. So I was able to contact the North. So even North side, they liked this idea. So that's how having this, the project last until today.
In continuing to talk about the challenges, I imagine there might have been some challenges as well in selecting the songs that were going to be played. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Well, we had a piano trio, pianist, violinist, cello, and also the singer. We came to realize, since we are giving such a wonderful concert in Panmunjom, so the music should be recognized kind of in special way. So we came to agree that how about we represent one of the Korean song, which is Longing Kumgang Mountain. And I believe one of the famous tenor, Domingo, was singing this, the Longing Kumgang Mountain in Korean, I believe many years ago. So he got really many applause from the Korean audience. And this music represents not only, beautiful song as musically, but also it means a lot to both countries, because as you know, Gyeonggang Mountain is located in north side, but for South Korean, we cannot go there. I don't think even now we can go there without permissions. And also separated family, we can see each other. We hope that many people will get to know the expressions of our musicians' performance. Yeah.
You mentioned that the intended audience for this concert were members of the NNSC. I would have to imagine, though, that some North Korean soldiers would have heard the music, of course, emanating from there.
Yes.
What thoughts do you think they might have had listening to the music from the concert?
Well, before the event, we Lindenbaum, with permission from the Ministry of Unification, we sent this plan to the North Korean government that we are having this wonderful concert in Panmunjom. And as you know, this is classic. It's not like loud, very, peaceful and quiet with ensemble. And I believe North recognize our intentions, and also North Korea, they do have good philharmonics and orchestra. And I want to believe, although they're not, those soldiers not invited officially, but I want to believe they liked our musical performance. Yeah.
We're talking about the lead up to this concert, the preparations, all of the things that went into it, all the complications and concerns. I imagine through a process like that, there are a lot of unexpected twists and turns that may pop up. Can you give us a little bit of a sense of what happened behind the scenes, any interesting episodes, interesting scenarios that played out that maybe you didn't expect beforehand?
Okay, I mean, one of the very funny episodes, we made this program, as I told you, piano trio, and we informed to NNS that we are playing piano trio. And the security, how difficult it is to enter that area. And the first reaction from NNSC that they said the piano is not allowed to enter. So we were like, without piano, so we can play piano trio. So maybe we thought, okay, maybe we should change the members, like strings only. But very lucky, later they called me that they found the piano there. But the concert, located 20 meters from the lines, JSA, the piano has to be moved there, has to be retuned. So I had to telephone the special company to go there and move the piano and retune it. They also had to get, special permission from MNSC to enter that area. So that was kind of episode that I want to share with you, that we were not able to even perform the piano trio. If there was no piano.
And the North throughout all of this as well. You mentioned they were receptive to the idea of holding this particular concert. I believe they also mentioned a little bit later on that they would like to play some role in this particular concert. Is that correct?
You mean the North?
Right.
Well, yes. This is, we want to call the first step, the closed area to the north. We call Panmunjom, the middle area between the two countries. This time we were able to give the performance made of only South Korean musicians. But our ultimate goal is to meet and form one orchestra made of 50 from South Korea and another 50 from North Korea, together, about 100, in one orchestra. So we found out maybe before that ultimate goal, maybe we should process, maybe a second step. So we told the North Korean government that we are having this concert only from South Korean musicians, but next time we hope to meet together as small ensemble group at the line, maybe 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, in order to make a ensemble group. And that could be the very natural opportunity to meet together as musicianship. And then through that process, maybe we will be able to, form one orchestra, about 100 people together in the future.
This idea is the North-South Youth Orchestra, correct?
Yes.
Right. So this idea plays along with this idea for the concert that was held yesterday. The overall idea behind these two things is what?
The idea of this concept is more than just concert. For example, in 2009, we were able to have an orchestra performance. And at that time, I realized we invited the Charles Dutoit, world famous conductor, and also principals and concertmasters from all over the best orchestra. And then we took auditions to evaluate 100 young South Korean musicians. So during the festival practice, they gathered and practiced about a week. And at the finale, they gave a performance. I found out at the time, those people just gathered without knowing each other, but were able to meet together through music. And in orchestra, in order to produce harmony, you need to listen to another. Imagine it's 100 people with different instruments have to be in harmony. So they have to listen to another. So during that process, you make consideration, communion, and communication. That's the core three values we Lindenbaum found out and discovered. So we assume maybe these are the values that we wish to share for North and South Korean people together. So as I said, our goal is to form one orchestra from North and South young musicians, and together they practice in music and get those three values: consideration, communion, and communication. I think those values, it's my wish and Lindenbaum wish that we want to express and share together to the world.
And this is something called orchestra diplomacy, a subject you've given lectures
Yes.
on at the University of Oxford. Orchestra diplomacy, tell us a little bit about what that is.
Yes, orchestral diplomacy, I believe, for example, 1956, the Boston Symphony in US, they went to Soviet Union to give a performance. In 1973, Philadelphia Orchestra in US, they went to China to give another performance. And maybe you know about this, in 2008, the New York Philharmonic went to Pyongyang to give a performance. I want to say these are kinds of examples of orchestral diplomacy. For example, those nations are located differently, but the races are different, languages are different, but the orchestra, one to another, they share the same music. For example, New York Philharmonic, they played Arirang in Pyongyang, but they also played Dvorak and Gershwin, which stand for the American, the composers. So they were able to feel some kind of communion through music. But look at us, I mean, in the Korean Peninsula, we are one nation, but divided, but having same languages, but no talks, no collaborations. So I thought, according to the examples of orchestra diplomacy, for us, we are not just giving them the music because since we are, sharing same languages. So I thought it should be combined together to communicate in one orchestra. That's how I found out it should be the perfect example of orchestra diplomacy in the Korean Peninsula.
So the next question would be, you have the concert, you have perhaps a youth orchestra coming down the line. What's next? What is the ultimate goal of this orchestra diplomacy that you're promoting right now?
My honest wish is this united orchestra made of young Koreans from both sides will continuously meet every year, and this orchestra will continuously perform throughout the world. Well, there is another example that has been doing. For example, it's called the West and East Divan Orchestra, originally made from Daniel Barenboim. He's a world-famous conductor. He made the young musicians from Israel and Palestine together. They continuously perform. Even the orchestra came to Korea in 2011, and they gave a performance in Imjingak peace concert. Well, that was kind of a model that we got kind of inspiration. So this is not like one event that Lindenbaum is preparing. We wish this one orchestra will perform until maybe we unify. I don't know. That's kind of ideal, but I think we are getting in realistic. Yeah, so we wish.
Let's say the concerts take place on a yearly basis. There's obviously more to this idea beyond that. What do you envision from then on?
The time and place is very important for this united orchestra. We can play in third country, like in neutral nations. It could be Switzerland or Sweden or Norway. We can also play in Seoul or Pyongyang. We can also play in Panmunjom. We also can play DMZ. But I think, as I told you before, the purpose of this having concert is beyond event. I think North and South young musicians together in one orchestra, we make those core values, as I said, consideration, communion, and communication. So I hope we can demonstrate to the world, although we are divided, we are having very hard time in dialogue, but those young people, through music, we can give such a hope and dream to the world. Yeah.
Mr. Won Hyung-jun, CEO of Lindenbaum Music, thank you very much for being on the show and sharing your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott.
And thank you, as always, for watching. We'll see you next time, After 10.